Boy, oh boy, if morale goes with offense, there is no morale for the 2026 Boston Red Sox.
Whoa. They are connected. Because when you don't score, I mean, the object in sports generally
Score more than the opponent. John Madden.
Golf would be an exception, where you don't want to score more.
True.
But yeah, when you're not scoring and players are frustrated, probably some of them are trying too hard, and fans, broadcasters, people around the team getting discouraged. Has there been any more talk of Breslow here in the
Haven't seen
trade
anything.
deadline vicinity? I mean, there's got to be a ton of pressure. Again, he's a guy. He fits the team well. Like, he fits the team because he is boring.
Yeah.
He is boring.
Good general
he is
manager
not
for this
dynamic.
squad.
Yeah.
He has built this team in his image.
I mean, he should be in the analytics department, not overseeing it.
Yeah.
But that is where we're at with the Boston Red Sox. This season, Sox on the West Coast tonight, taking on the Seattle Mariners. A late one. 9:10 the pregame show, 10:10 first pitch. Ranger Suarez on the mound for the Red Sox. Mr. Miller. Bryce, just a few starts, but they've been good ones.
Yeah, they have 3-0, one minuscule ERA in the 150s, part of that Seattle staff that we all know how potent they can be. Just a couple of games over 500, but still leading that division. I think it's still the A's that are in second out there with their offense buoying them, kind of the counter Boston Red Sox, a team with no pitching.
So think about that. I think actually they're, according to your numbers here, one game over 500.
Yeah.
38 and 37. They're in first place.
It does not
so
take
in that
much.
division, the Red Sox would only be, 7.5 out?
Yeah, it would be within shouting distance.
Yeah.
A little closer there.
But in the American League East, that is not the case because you have the Yankees, you have the Rays. Toronto will get it going. I feel confident in that. Baltimore's been a disappointment the last couple of years after that season. A few years ago, they had over 100 wins.
Yeah, just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you thought they would spend a little bit to add to it. Obviously, got Pete Alonso this year, but the pitching just has let them down again.
And then the NL Central, at one point, maybe a couple of weeks ago, everybody was over 500.
Cincy is 3 games under at this point. Everybody else is still over.
Oh, wow.
Pittsburgh's a game over.
Interesting scenario there. And then the NL East, all Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
Philadelphia hanging around 500, I think.
Still plus
Dodgers
7 on
Padres
Philly.
Out west.
We just had it on the screen here in the studio that Atlanta, one of the teams showing early interest in Sonny Gray. That's a guy who he took the no decision yesterday, but still 7 innings, 3 earned runs, got a record of 7 or 8-1 on the season, ERA right around 3, the proven track record for a decade and a half.
I mean, out of Gray, Chapman, any other relief pitchers we could get something out of?
Not
I'm
really.
a little tired of Garrett Whitlock. He's probably got a pretty reasonable
Makes like $4.5 million a year.
And then Suarez obviously just signed a long-term contract, so that's going to be too rich for most teams. And then Duran.
I'd still trade Contreras. I know he's got another year under contract, but
why wouldn't
the
you?
The price is never going to be higher.
Why wouldn't you? So yeah, there's 4 veterans who could, depending upon the team and their needs, could bring the Red Sox back some young prospects.
Who will be the guy making those trades? Will it be
hopefully
Craig Breslow?
some young,
will it be
entertaining prospects?
I was reading earlier today of like any situation that you could envision Theo coming in and trying to save this team for a month and a half and just navigate them through those choppy seas. I don't know how many zeros Henry would have to throw in front of him, but it would be several to get him back in the building.
Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't have to be a long time, Theo. I know that's not what he wants to do. I haven't heard talk. The other day, Pete Abraham was talking about him. I think he wants to be in ownership.
Yeah.
He is a part owner in the Fenway Group, but I think he wants to lead a new team in that role. And there obviously was talk for a long time of him being a Major League Baseball commissioner. I would welcome that as well. All right, we got to take a time out here in the drive because we have John Karalis standing by. He'll be joining us on the Heroes Hotline. The drive brought to you by Novus Auto Glass. Call Novus Auto Glass today at 945-6688 to get your windshield repaired or replaced. And start your morning at Goslin's Bakery, 334 Harlow Street in Bangor. Grab a breakfast sandwich on an English muffin or a croissant, plus legendary donuts and pastries they've been making since 1945. You can also visit their new location, Goslin's Bakery and Deli, next to Hannaford in Brewer. We'll be right back with John Karalis. All right, let's head back to the Heroes Hotline, brought to you by Heroes Sports Grill and Entertainment Center in downtown Bangor, the official sports grill of The Drive and the host of the Ticket Awards coming up Monday night at 6 p.m. Joining us on the line, John Karalis. And John from Sports Illustrated and the Lock on Celtics pod. We are approaching the draft. Of course, all or much of the conversation surrounding the Celtics leading up to this point has been about the potential for a Jaylen Brown Giannis trade, and it seems like that's cooling down a little bit, John.
Yeah, I mean, I think what happened is the Bucks needed to drum up a little bit of pressure on Miami, and the word needed to get out that the Boston Celtics are legitimate threats to get in on the Giannis thing, and I will see how effective that is. That has died down because I think from the Celtics side they needed it to die down a little bit. They needed it to be like they needed Jaylen Brown to kind of hear, look, this is not a serious thing. They just kind of needed to tamp down some of the fire that was causing all the smoke. So I mean, I still think they'd like to get Giannis, but they're not going to do all of the things that Milwaukee wants. So it's probably going to be Miami or some combination of other teams.
Yeah, I got to admit, early in the week, you were one of the people I was taking my cues from on this on social media, because I think
you should, Mark.
I think you said something to the effect of, like, pay attention to where this noise is coming from, because this isn't how the Celtics operate.
Yeah, well, I mean, anytime rumors come out, you have to say, like, who does this benefit? And it didn't benefit the Celtics to have the word out that they're in on Milwaukee. Now, it's always possible that someone in the organization, because as tight-lipped as the Celtics are, there's always somebody that's willing to say something to someone. Maybe somebody got a little too excited about it, but it made more sense to me that Milwaukee was using this as a leverage play. I don't doubt that the Celtics were in on the discussions, and I don't doubt that there were some names that were thrown about. But in the NBA, like, a lot of things don't work the way people think they work. And when you hear it framed a certain way, it just raises your eyebrows, I should say, that you're like, this doesn't sound like a Celtics rumor. It sounds more like a something that is coming from somewhere else, speculative stuff.
So it seems like the word that we've heard as the week has gone on, I think Brian Robb of MassLive.com said that the Celtics are willing to move Jaylen Brown in the right move. What is that move in your mind? Is there anything out there? Is it Giannis? Like, what do you think that is?
Well, it has to be, like, it's hard to say because it could be different things. Ultimately, what Brad Stevens needs to feel is that the team is functionally better after the trade. And so does that mean Giannis? Sure. That might mean a Jaylen Brown for Giannis Antetokounmpo trade, straight up, no nothing else. Sure, that makes them better. Maybe you can throw a pick in or something, but they're not going to go crazy and throw in a ton of picks because Jaylen is really, really good. So that could be part of it. Or is it turning Jaylen Brown into two high-level role players that add so much depth that you can feel good about the team just being better, deeper, and built somewhat like the Knicks are, with kind of like a head of the snake, one guy, and then some real good solid depth around them. No disrespect to Karl Anthony Towns, but you know what I'm saying. So it is a difficult answer to that particular question, but I can tell you that the actual deals where Brad Stevens would feel like the Celtics are better trading away Jaylen Brown are very, very, rare to find. And I don't think there are many that exist out there. But the Celtics have shown in their history they're willing to make tough calls. And yes, they're willing to move anybody if the deal is correct. And, listen, as weird as this sounds, Jason Tatum could move too. But if someone, in the San Antonio Spurs was, bumped his head and had a brief moment of CTE and said, hey, we'll give you Wemby for Jason Tatum. Brad Stevens would be like, yeah, sure, I'll take that deal. So there's always the right deal for the right player. But it has to be something that you're like, oh, yeah, that's a no-brainer.
That's when Brad goes to DocuSign. Let's get this done quickly here.
Right. Well, listen, you don't know when Nico Harrison is going to call and say, hey, we're offering you Luka Doncic.
I just bumped my head, but I think I'm okay, but I'd like to do this.
Yeah.
So, but I need help, and I went off on this a couple of segments ago, but I hear some of these pundits talk about the ceiling with these two guys, and it just drives me nuts. Yes, they stumbled a couple of years ago against the Knicks. They should have won that series, but they didn't. That happens. Last year, we know what the situation was with Tatum. We know they only played 19 games together during the regular season. We know Jaylen Brown carried the team at his best season ever. We know he is committed to getting better. He just said that in the last couple of days, and I believe him because I've seen him do it just about every year. We know Tatum was just about himself, maybe 90%. In the playoffs toward the end of the regular season, 85, 90%. We believe he's going to be healthy and back to form. And we saw a lot of other players on this team make them a deeper team. And unfortunately, they went completely away from some of those players in the postseason, and it hurt them. So the ceiling thing just drives me nuts, John.
Yeah, it drives me nuts too. Because there are people who will sit there and say, and I've read comments about this stuff, and it's like they choked in 23, 25, and 26. Be like, you're leaving out one very important year where a very important thing happened. But I think people, first of all, negativity is just more powerful than the positivity. And people tend to skew towards that. I would think that people would recognize that the ceiling for this team is a championship because they won a championship. You have to have the right pieces around them. And they had very high-level pieces around them, sure, when they won the 24 championship. It doesn't mean you can't put together another team that's got good depth. And it's important. That depth is important. I think what this run of different champions over the past 8 years should show you is that it doesn't matter if you have the highest level guys on the team. If you don't have also support and performances from your depth pieces, you're going to be in trouble. Look at Oklahoma City. You had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander back-to-back MVP. And when Jalen Williams was hurt throughout the whole thing, and Chet Holmgren was neutralized, they couldn't get past San Antonio. So the team that we had all thought here comes a generational run from the OKC Thunder, and they have the best player in the league, the best player in the world, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Even that team, without the contributions of everybody at full strength, even that team can't make it and win back-to-back championships. So the Celtics, you need Jalen, you need Jason. You also need Derek White, who wasn't himself this year. You also need Neemias Queta, who was rendered kind of 40 to 50% of what he normally is because of foul trouble and other things in that Sixers series. You need someone to step up, the Shiremans and those other guys, Hauser, whomever, and that didn't happen for various reasons. So I think a reasonable person can say when they have a full team playing to their best potential, they have a championship level team. Any team that doesn't have a full team, that doesn't have contributions from depth pieces, they're not going to be a championship team. The Knicks got huge performances from OG Anunoby, Landry Shamet, other guys, like other players, Josh Hart. Those guys were what won them the championship. I know Jalen Brunson got the Finals MVP, but after the first two games, people were talking about Karl Anthony Towns' Finals MVP. After game 4, people were talking about OG Anunoby as the MVP. You need to have that kind of debate if you're going to win a championship.
Talking with John Karalis from the Locked On Celtics podcast, as well as Sports Illustrated. I want to ask you about trade possibilities away from Jaylen Brown. Kind of a two-part question, but can they beat, they being the Celtics, can they beat Miami's package without including Jaylen Brown, potentially in a Giannis deal? And then the second part would be, what have you heard away from trades involving Jaylen? Like you just mentioned the name of Derek White. It sounds like Minnesota might have some interest there. Are there other avenues to explore this offseason?
So I don't think they can beat Miami's package without Jaylen, because the package without Jaylen has to be Derek, Sam, and Peyton. And that is a good package in and of itself, but it doesn't get Milwaukee kind of where they want to go. Like, those are good supporting pieces around the star. But if you trade away your star and all you get is those supporting pieces, then they don't do Milwaukee a whole lot of good as they're looking for that star. So I don't think that helps. And especially because the Celtics, just on a two-team trade, I don't know what picks they can give up. They can give up the 27th pick in this year's draft and future first-round picks. But in this scenario, you have Jalen, Jason, and Giannis. Forget the CBA for a moment. That would make things difficult. But a team with Jalen, Jason, and Giannis would obviously be really good, and so their draft picks would be meaningless. So I don't think that's going to be where Milwaukee wants to go with their trade package. They either, I think, want to get a star that they can turn around and flip or reroute to a third team, or they want to get young pieces and picks from a team that is going to be potentially like okay, but like mediocre at best. So a team that's not too bad because of the lottery reform, but a team that's not good, so they have a good chance at a decent pick. So I think it's more of a draft play for Milwaukee. And as far as Derek White goes, I mean, there's interest, right? There's interest in him because for a team that wants to win now, like Minnesota's a perfect example of a team that could use a Derek White, because he's obviously a first-team All-NBA player. And aside from this past year, the past few years, when he was primarily a catch-and-shoot guy, which is why I think he should stay and the Celtics should kind of work around the margins. In that role, he's a much better player. So I think a lot of teams would want Derek White. I also don't think he moves this summer, but I wouldn't be shocked either if they can get back a reasonable facsimile of Derek White at a fraction of the cost, right? So theoretically, a sign and trade, with Minnesota for Ayo Dosunmu, where you bring back a player that can do a few of the things that Derek does at half the price. Well, you're not getting half the production. You're getting like 70% of the production for half the price. That's a deal that tends to make sense. So I can see something like that being possible, but I also am not sure if Brad is willing to go and move a player that's that important for a little bit of an unknown.
I think what we're saying is, and I think the three of us will probably be in agreement here, is bring it back, add some help up front. Where and what are the possibilities there? But let me finish my part 3. Have a plan B. When the shots aren't falling, and we saw it, John. This is the frustrating part. We saw those games where the ball was moving and layups and mid-range shots and points in the paint. But have that plan B at the ready and know how to segue from one of those nights into that plan B. I think if they do that, we're right there again.
Yeah, listen, I think building around the edges, not just tinkering with some role players, but I think my plan of attack is finding somebody with the mid-level this summer. So I keep throwing out the name Anthony Simons because he ended up being pretty good by the time he got traded, or a Kobe White who had a really good playoff run with Charlotte. If he somehow he's a free agent, if he for some reason doesn't want to go back to Charlotte, coming to Boston at the mid-level, if that's possible, I would love to do that. But I think adding a player with the mid-level this summer is step 1. Step 2, I think we're talking about like trading up in the draft or something like that. I think Sam Hauser has to go for financial reasons at some point. Now, is that this summer? Is that not? But at some point, if you're going to use your full or a lot of the traded player exception, I think Hauser kind of has to go. You have to make room for Shireman. I think Shireman's going to be able to step up and do enough of what Hauser does. Again, a greater percentage of what Hauser does at a smaller percentage of the cost, because Hauser's making more than $10 million. Then whatever little trades you can do are fine, like just kind of retooling. Then I think you have to go into the season and see what you have. Like, how much better is Nemish Keita? How much better is Baylor Shireman, Jordan Walsh, Ugo Gonzalez? How much better are those guys?
They all get better this year.
They were pretty good, and you can't expect just linear improvement. They were good this year, therefore they will be better next year. That's not always how it goes. But you got to see how many of them do that. If a couple do that, then great. If they all do that, then hey, best case scenario. But I think you need to go into the season and see how much internal improvement there is. What does Jason Tatum look like? Is he going to be back to himself, which I expect? Then after you see that and how everything fits, you look at the hole in the roster, which is probably a big. Then you take the season between December and the trade deadline, and you look around the league and go, okay, who's struggling? Who has a big that can break free? Where do we go for that? And you have a traded player exception that you still can use that can get you some sort of reasonably priced big. So I don't think you have to do that this summer. I think you can take, because Nimi was a pretty good regular season center. You can survive. You can float through the regular season with the centers that you have, and then figure out a way to upgrade that around the trade deadline. So I think that's a fair way to go, and that team could be at the top of the East, and then you figure out if that's enough to get you where you need to go in the playoffs.
I like it, John. I like that plan. You've got it mapped out well, and hopefully you have your weekend mapped out well as well. And we thank you for joining us here on the Heroes Hotline. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks, guys. You too.
John Karalis from Sports Illustrated, Locked On Celtics Podcast, joining us on the Heroes Hotline. The Drive will be coming to you live from Heroes, preceding the Ticket Awards on Monday. And we will have The Drive again at 4 o'clock. And looking forward to that as we head into the Ticket Awards on Monday night from Heroes. The Drive is also presented by your local family-owned McDonald's on Main Street in Bangor, Union Street in Bangor, and Wilson Street in Brewer. Brought to you by Northeast Driving School, the leader in driver training for over 57 years. Register today for driver's ed courses at Greater Bangor's #1 driving school. Call 942-1769 or register at northeastdrivingschool.com. And we're brought to you by Dairy Queen in Bangor. With the new DQ breakfast collection, you can enjoy a Cinnamon Toast Crunch dipped cone, Fruity Pebbles shakes, or the Choco Frosted Donut Blizzard treat. Whether it's breakfast time or not, visit 668 Broadway in Bangor. DQ, happy, tastes good. All right, we'll be right back. What are we doing, Mark? Sports Center and weather?
Yep.
Coming up next. All right, there we go. A.J. Brown, a new Patriot, talking about the Pats quarterback, Drake May, heading into the 2026 season. And ESPN, I'm sure they're as high on Drake as AJ is, but they are not as high on the Pats as a whole as Drake and AJ might be.
No, they are not. Their fancy football power index, the formula that they can break down every team into a number to compare
Craig Breslow
1 through
loaned it to
32.
him.
Oh, my God, Craig Breslow. He can't even look at the FPI without getting too excited and having to leave the room. They have the Patriots ranked as 7th best in the AFC and 14th overall in the NFL, sandwiched between Houston and Denver in the overall rankings as well as those AFC rankings. They have the Patriots behind Buffalo, Baltimore, the Chargers, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Houston in this conference, and they have the Patriots behind the Rams, Bills, Baltimore, Seattle, San Francisco, Green Bay, the Chargers, Detroit, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Dallas, Cincinnati, and Houston in the NFL league-wide picture.
So, like, conference-wise, I mean, you've got a lot of teams that I guess ESPN is expecting to bounce back, like Baltimore. They have a new
head coach. They were my Super Bowl pick a year ago and wildly underperformed.
Cincinnati.
Last place schedule again. You got all the offensive talent.
Kansas City. Mahomes is ahead of schedule.
You would expect, as long as he's healthy, they're going to bounce back in some fashion.
Chargers. I mean, they're right there. I mean, they have the potential to get a little better. So, I mean, I don't think it's wild. Buffalo, new head coach. We'll see. It's going to be a lot of pressure there.
Like, why is Buffalo getting that much love? I mean, they do every year, and Josh Allen is fantastic.
I mean, are those the rankings? Like
yes,
Buffalo is one?
This is in chronological order. Those are the rankings that you're looking at.
With.
Buffalo, Baltimore, Chargers, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Houston, then the Patriots at 7.
Now,
so,
if it was say Kansas City, Baltimore, the Chargers, I would even put Houston higher than that. If it was Kansas City, Houston, Baltimore, the Chargers, either Cincinnati, Buffalo, or Buffalo, Cincinnati, and then the Patriots, like, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
No, I mean, even the Chargers, though, they're a team that just annoys me because they're an illusion of contention team more than they are actually a contender.
They're not going to overwhelm you, but they're going to win games.
They're going to win 10 regular season games and 0 postseason.
And then the NFL, like the Rams, I mean, I can't argue with that. Seattle, I can't argue with that. San Francisco, Green Bay, I mean, they always have the potential to be...
Quality of depth in the roster.
Right. Detroit.
Get down to Dallas, though. I'm sitting there in front of them.
Well, that's problematic.
Let's not forget, they were the second best team to walk off a field last NFL season.
They were. And the regular season, it was beneficial, as it might be for the Bengals this year. Certainly, it was historic. It was an historic bad schedule. Like, it wasn't just
for
like
the Patriots. Oh, no doubt.
It wasn't just like one of those bad schedules. It was historic.
So I guess that's how are you trying to judge them? Wins or losses or overall quality?
In the postseason, they proved they could beat quality teams until the last game, when they faced the best team. So, yeah, I mean, I think their roster got a little better, but the schedule's going to be harder. And when you start, some of these players after coming off last year, you start, maybe you're 5-3, and then you're 5-4. it's just different.
They're going to have a worse record.
Feels different.
They're going to be a 10 or 11 win football team, probably 10 because that schedule is tough. But even so, at 10 wins, to say that they're 7th best in the AFC, because while they will lose a few more during the course of the regular season, they will be more competitive against those elite teams. There's just more of them on the schedule. They'll be more battle-tested by the time they get to the playoffs.
I think a fair question is, the number 7 team in the AFC last year, what was their record?
Oh, I think it was 11 wins probably, because it was Buffalo down at the bottom of the conference, right? It was the wildcard teams were Chargers, Buffalo, and who was the last one to sneak in there? Chargers, Buffalo, and Houston, who they ended up playing.
Okay. Did any of those teams have 10 wins? They must have.
Maybe Houston, because they got off to such the rough start to the year.
Yeah. So, 10 wins, number 7, 6 or 7. That's not unusual.
I wonder, why is Buffalo garnering that much respect, though? Is that DJ Moore all of a sudden vaults them to the top of the conference? Because apart from that move, I haven't heard of too many big things happening out there this offseason.
Yeah, the Buffalo thing I do have a problem with. It's especially being ranked first. With an unproven head coach, and there's going to be a lot of pressure there based upon their general success.
Yeah,
under the previous head coach.
Josh Allen will always have them in a position. I kind of need to see a little bit of a bounce back year from Lamar Jackson, which probably isn't a fair thing for me to say, but the last 2 years ago, he was a fantastic passer, put up all the numbers, but it just seems like he's trending in a slightly different direction with his overall game and his health as well, being able to stay out there. So got to see that a little bit. Again, the Chargers, I don't trust them. Houston, if CJ Stroud can get back on track, they should be a better team, but offensively, they were challenged. They were held back by him last year. Defense was fantastic. They had a solid ground game that got injured as the year went on, but
I do think when you look at this, again, I have a problem with Buffalo. I have a problem with the Cowboys just because they're the Cowboys.
I would put Denver a lot higher, too.
Detroit I might have a problem with.
I would feel slighted if I was the Broncos sitting below the Pats at 16th.
But when you think of it, in the overall NFL, they're a little behind Cincinnati and Houston. You could even say Philadelphia. And they're a little ahead of Denver, Chicago, an up-and-coming team, we think, Jacksonville, who...
See, I completely disagree with that neighborhood as we read it off.
But it's
Dallas, Cincinnati, Houston shouldn't be in front of the Patriots. Denver, Chicago, and maybe even Jacksonville has an argument to be.
I think Houston could be. Cincinnati, it all depends upon Joe Burrow's health. That's why that team and that organization has been so erratic, is because his health has been up and down. But some of the teams they have behind the Patriots, I could see maybe slightly ahead. We're going to get it's going to be a very different feeling because the schedule now, look, if they start out 4-1, look out. Things could.
Oh, if they get off to a hot start this year, yeah, because that schedule, again, I think they're an improved roster, and I still look at the first 4 games and say, 1-3. Don't be shocked by it.
Right. Yeah, 1-3. There would be some.
Oh, that's definitely an inflection point for the season. That is a pressure point for certain because
the schedule is pretty hard from there on out too. So.
Yeah, all of a sudden we're talking about must-win games at the first week of October.
All right. We shall see if what is it called? The FPI. FPI. We'll see if it pans out. So we got to save this. I'll have to put it up here on the board and just keep it for months, and just see how that pans out.
How those teams are faring.
Yeah, maybe Craig Breslow could use the FBI.
He needs any model and any formula he can get his hands on.
All right, we got to take a time out here. We'll be back to wrap it up with Buzzer Beaters. Sox Props.
We'll fit those in before.
All right, thanks to our guest today, Toby Nelson, new athletic director at Foxcroft Academy, and John Karalis from Sports Illustrated, the Locked On Celtics podcast. Buzzer beater Sox props combo here.
Yeah, I was going to say we just pick the Bryce Miller number and go with it, but those numbers are rather minuscule because he's taking on maybe the most putrid offense in Major League Baseball, and he has a 1.54 ERA on the season, So if we want to take his earned runs allowed tonight, we would have to go with 1 or fewer. That's the only one.
That's tough.
Shorter than minus 200. Let's see here. We can go hits.
How about that respect right there for the Red Sox offense?
Hits plus walks plus earned runs. Anything negative he could allow, 6 or fewer is as high as we could go there. The combination of those 3 categories. They don't have an outs recorded on him because, again, only 5 starts on the season, getting a little later start to his season. But yeah.
So whatever his appearance is, I don't know how long he's been going, but if it's 5 innings, 6 or less, that's...
We can take strikeouts. That number is at 5+ minus 143.
See a strikeout pitcher?
Averages 9.26 per 9.
Let's go with that.
5+. Put it on the board.
Yes. All right. That'll do it for the drive today. That'll do it for the drive this week. Again, we'll begin next week from Heroes, broadcasting live prior to the Ticket Awards, the 2026 edition. You can catch that live at 6 p.m. on Ticket TV.